That's enough of all that god-awful music. Unhappy Wednesday, folks. Coming to you live from our humble abodes. This is Unhappy and the MP, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever device you're using to stream us on YouTube. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume if you gotta. Use the company dime if, God forbid, you're still stuck at work. Crack open a cold one, and I know that's most of y'all's thing the night before Thanksgiving. And let's try to have a little bit of fun as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation for some folks, the final day of the hostage situation for the rest of us. And we look forward to tomorrow, not only being Friday Eve, but Thanksgiving. Mason, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. It was a tough experience watching the game on Sunday, but you know what? We have a lot to look forward to coming up. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so good to see a lot of friends and family. And you know what? We're lucky enough that we don't have to wait too long to see some redemption on Friday.
Yeah, I don't know if we're lucky, but we're going to hope for some redemption on Friday. Also hoping for some and this one makes you throw up in your mouth a little bit, right? Because you know what has to happen tomorrow at 4:00. You got to root for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it makes you feel dirty. It makes you feel like you need to take a second shower tomorrow and all of that stuff. But the bottom line is, as much as we all want the Chiefs out of the playoffs, and a loss by the Chiefs might very well do that, Dallas losing is always more important. And so here we are. But Mason and I both hard stop at 7 o'clock tonight, so let's get down to the business end of things here. Everyone, Michelle's favorite part of the program. We are proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Just minutes away from the sports complex, Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drinking food specials, a premium selection of cigars, and a cigar lounge. And if you're looking for a place to head out and watch the birds, you don't want to sell a kidney to get tickets to the link, head on over to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall, as well as HD TV screens throughout the entire club. Once again, folks, that's Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. I can tell by the look my wife is giving me she will never set foot in that place. Your loss, whatever. Always at the bottom of the screen, folks, every time we're live here, greenlegion.com. You're running out of time. There's not a whole lot of games left. So head on over to greenlegion.com. Click on trips and tailgates. If there's an away trip you want to go on, click on it. If it doesn't say sold out, book it. Get your ass out on the road. Catch it with the pros, the best in the business, the Green Legion, always. If you're looking for a home tailgate, greenlegion.com. Click on trips and tailgates. Home tailgates. Find the one you're looking for. Once again, if it does not say sold out, buy away and don't look back. Don't hesitate either, folks. As the season winds down, those things will fill up very, very quickly. Don't want to see you miss out. You know what we say about those who hesitate? We don't need to go over that, right? Everybody knows the outcome of that one. GreenLegion.com, folks. The longest tenured and best in the business. All right. Who's in the room already here? We've got Dev. Dev always bringing good energy to help us out on Sundays out here in Midwest Eagles Nest. If you could not do that while I'm on the thing here, that would be fabulous. My son washing dishes right next to me. Okay, look at it this way, bud. The one time your parent will tell you not to wash a dish. Keenan Harvin in the room. Dallas sucks. Patullo sucks. Tyler Steen is trash. Our coaching staff isn't worthy of a Pop Warner assignment. But I had a great time in Dallas. Go Green Legion. Once again, Keenan, sorry we couldn't make it down for that one. Things happen, work happens. But like I've talked about the last few weeks, when one door closes, another one opens. And while the game stunk, the outcome of that game was terrible. And Mason and I are going to get into that here in just a minute. Midwest Eagles Nest had a massive massive afternoon. I'd say we were upwards of 180 people up at the Back Porch Saloon. Jordan Hicks and his True Strength team also joining us. Jordan and his family, his wife, his daughters, his mom, a few other members of True Strength Awareness there as well. I think we've got one converted over to the Birds now. I did tell him I was going to have to bring the conversion form on Friday if he shows up, though, because I have to have him fill that out if he's actually going to jump ship from the Bengals to the Birds. But we had a great afternoon. Our split the pot raffle got up to, I think it was $1,035. So $500 went to the winner. The other $535 went to True Strength, and then the winner actually turned around and gave half back to give back to True Strength as well, which was always awesome to see. Back Porch also donated 10% of the food sales from the day. I don't have that number just yet, but when we talk about pushing 200 people, everybody was eating, I promise. And at the end of the game, despite the outcome, we did have a nice long line for all of our folks to line up and get autographs from Jordan and pictures with Jordan. I posted some of that. Mostly the ones that were, myself, my family, my partner Mike, his wife, all of us together. One in particular, though, that is the daughter of one of our longstanding regulars. Has disability, and so as a surprise, we gave her one of the jerseys that Jordan autographed. So when they all got in that line there, we pulled Jonathan and his daughter Ella up, and he autographed it personally to her. And just a shout out to the True Strength team, unbelievable. A big shout out to Jordan Hicks. If you're going to do an event with a former or current player, this guy was the gold standard. Jordan was absolutely amazing all day long, walking through the crowd, talking to everybody. He's from the local area here. He went to high school 10 minutes away from me at Lakota West. Then went on to Texas to play his college ball, and of course his first 4 years in the league with the Birds, including the 2017 Super Bowl championship. But could not have been a better, just a better turnout, better outcome. And Jordan was incredible. We're already talking about setting this again up next year, albeit earlier in the year when it's warmer out, and the Back Porch has a massive outdoor area with a tiki bar and everything. Talking about doing that there, and there's also a lot of talk of additional players coming out. I will tell you, Jordan is more than enough all on his own. The way he interacts with people is incredible. But there is talk of some other players that he may or may not be able to get to join in with that would help boost maybe the head count, maybe some more and get additional donations and everything in for True Strength. I'm not going to divulge any names. One in particular that has been thrown about would have us probably shutting down the Back Porch and charging admission at the door to be given to the charity organization. That's how big the name is. So we'll just go off that right now. Dev, I know you're in the room. If you overheard any of that, please keep it to yourself. But yeah, we're all pretty stoked. It was a great turnout and just an excellent, excellent Sunday, except the fucking Birds blew it. I mean, you just absolutely just choked on it, dude. What a brutal, brutal final 3 quarters of that football game. Absolutely brutal. So we had 11 drives. We're just going to start right here. We had 11 drives. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Punt, end of half. Punt, punt, punt. Missed field goal, fumble, punt. Mason, take it away.
Yeah, this is like watching a car crash in slow motion, or watching it was so sad. It was so sad. I'm looking at the box score right here. Saquon had 10 carries for 22 yards. Now, I don't know of many teams that at any point in a game go up 21 points and their number one running back only has 10 carries to end the game. I don't really see that very often, let alone 22 yards for 2.2 average. But look, so look at the bright sides first. Let's look at the bright side first. Bright side is that Hurts, the passing game looked great early on. He got the ball to Brown in the middle of the field for the first score. And I mean, if he hits Smith over the shoulder properly with the one throw, that's another bomb. And so the offense hummed a little bit there. It was an offense that we were waiting to see. It's an offense that was kind of reminiscent of what we saw in Minnesota. It was an offense that was somewhat reminiscent of what we saw against New York. It was a functional offense that had some kind of vision. And the defense was humming as well. I mean, we only got to Prescott once, but we did force a fumble after getting another faux fumble overturned. The next play was literally a fumble. And then we have when it was 21-0, the Cowboys drive all the way down the field, get all the way down to the 1 yard line, and they end up throwing a pick to Reed Blankenship. So the defense, like you said, the first quarter or two was almost perfect. But in the NFL, there are 4 quarters, not 2. And it's not always about how you start, but how you finish. And the Cowboys finished better than we did. And that's exactly how you win football games. The Falcons learned it the hard way in the Super Bowl that there aren't just 3 quarters in a game, but there's 4. We can't go scoreless like we did against Dallas's defense, like we did. It's almost as if after we scored that third touchdown, yes, Elliott misses the field goal. And so you're looking at a tie game there. But Brandon Aubrey also missed a field goal. And Brandon Aubrey is one of the best kickers in the league already.
He's automatic.
So even if we give Elliott the field goal, we're going to give Brandon Aubrey his field goal as well. And we're still losing by a field goal. So that's almost not really worth considering.
You can't. It's a push.
We were completely inept after that third touchdown. And we had no vision. I mean, you don't throw the ball 3 times to start a drive if you're up by 14. You just don't do that. You don't put yourself in that box. You don't put yourself into that corner. You don't make yourself so predictable that the defense knows, all right, wow, these guys are up by 2 possessions. And they're playing like they're down 2 possessions. Listen, I understand.
I don't want to hear any filth about time of possession either. It was pretty much dead even. There's a 4-second difference. Yeah. However, we held the ball for 12 minutes and 28 of the first 15-18. Okay? That's the stat. So you had the ball for 29 minutes of the game. 12 and a half of that was in the first 15-18. After that point, we get completely fucking outplayed up and down the field.
Yep.
And then I'm going to highlight one specific point, although there are many. If that dipshit is back there returning punts on Friday, I am going to have a conniption fit. You plant your feet at the 10-yard line. And if that thing is going over your head, you run up to try to deke the defenders into thinking that it's short.
Yep.
This idiot fields the fucking thing on the 2-yard line and then tries to get cute and gets absolutely blown up and the ball goes flying. They got what they deserved on that one. And he better not. I would have cut it. He wouldn't even have gotten on the damn plane. Walk back to Philly. You're done. I don't care. Take an Uber. You're not getting on this plane. Dude, there was no, Gibson. That's his name. There is no
Xavier Gibson
at all. None. That was the stupidest. I want Britton. Where is Britton Covey? Where the hell is Britton Covey? Get Britton Covey back there returning punts again. At least I can rely on that kid to make good decisions back there.
I will say though, real quick, a huge shout out to the Cowboys player who forced a fumble. I'm not sure if you watched a replay of his effort,
I
but
saw it.
Sidney Brown laid him out not once, not twice, but like 3 or 4 times, and the kid kept on getting up, and he ended up forcing the fumble. So, I
Yeah.
mean, Sheldon Gibson, I'm not Xavier Gibson, total dud, but good effort by the Cowboy player.
Excellent effort, but it's just something that should have never happened, right? You just let it go. And if it checks up at the 2-yard line, then it checks up at the 2-yard line. You don't field it. You just don't. The percentages tell you. I mean, even if you want to just look at it from an analytics standpoint, which I can't stand, the analytics would tell you, you let it go, right? Your feet, you put your freaking heels on the 10-yard line. And you're like this, and that thing's going 8 yards back behind you. You go up like this. Make it look like you're coming up to catch it. And this fool backpedals to the 2-yard line and grabs it. Dude, like you just asked for it. If Saquon fumbles, this is rare. I get it.
Yep.
That was still a huge, huge point in that game. We were kind of moving, even though we had been anemic to that point. We're kind of moving down the field. You don't know, hindsight's always 20/20. What if he doesn't fumble? I'm with you though. So we had 18 total rushing attempts in the game, and we were up 21-0 at one point.
Yep.
We were up 21-7 with like 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. So you still have a 2-score lead, 2-touchdown lead late in the third quarter. There's 18 minutes of football left. You're up 14 points. And you just get dusted. Right?
Do you remember that first drive coming out of halftime? Do you remember how that went when we were up 21-7? Let me give you a quick little reminder if you don't. Jalen Hurts passed short to Grant Calcaterra for 8 yards.
Pass.
Pass.
Yep.
You're up by 14, buddy.
Yep.
You're up by 14. You're not down by 14. And listen, this goes to the point I was going to say a little bit before. There's a case that you can make that if you are up and your run game isn't working, then maybe you shouldn't just die by the run game. And I completely understand that. But here's the thing. You have to do it anyway to a certain degree. Because statistically, one of the things that we absolutely do not do compared to the rest of the league is play action passes.
We put nobody in motion either. You realize that right now we're 27th in the league in motion plays.
Yep.
27th.
We don't put any motion. We don't put anything in motion, but we also don't do a play action. So we are telling the defense, you know what? Whatever it looks like it is, it is.
That's what it is.
And so that is on the coaching side. It is one of two things. And I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. Number one, that's saying that, we have the talent and we are going to beat you, whether you know what we're going to do or not. Or two, it is complete offensive creativity. It is complete offensive ineptness in terms of play design and play calling. And I am going to blame the latter instead of the former here, because we've seen this offense when we do sprinkle in a little bit of creativity, a little bit of something spicy, it works. And we see this offense actually start to hum a little bit. And then we go back to the way things were before. Listen, you cannot have Saquon Barkley have 10 carries when you are up 21 points, by 14 points, by 7 points. You simply cannot do that. I don't care if he has 20 rushes for 40 yards. You need to run the ball so that you do not let the defense get comfortable. You have to keep them honest. If we ran play action passes, let them even think that we might run the ball in the first place. And then you throw it. Even that's better than just lining up 5 wide and basically just opening up the entire defense and say, hey, you know what? This season, Hurts is not doing many design runs. So if we go 5 wide, guess what it's going to be? It's going to be a pass play.
The
And
only
we don't
time
have
we do a designed run when we're spread out like that is that Jalen Hurts carry up the middle, which I screamed it as soon as Barkley split out wide. My Jalen's coming right up the middle. It was obvious at that point, and I agree with you. But I think it's both. I think it's the lack of creativity, the lack of good play design, the lack of good play calling, coupled with an arrogance by that coaching staff saying that they don't have to. We're just more talented. I don't know how many times we've gone over it here. Captain Deb says the same thing over and over again. Just like the rest of us have been saying, you cannot in this league just line up, say, I'm more talented, and that's enough. It's not.
yeah.
It's just not, especially this far into the season when you've changed nothing. Everything has looked the same, right? So you get those first 3 possessions where you score on all 3 of them, and you don't. So look, Matt Eberflus was not a good head coach. He's a good defensive coordinator. All right, the Dallas defense, while it stinks, is still coached well. And if you tell an NFL defense with a decent defensive coordinator what's coming, which is basically what we're doing week in and week out, you're going to eventually get stuffed. This looked very much like there was a script, and when we were on script, everything was fine. Once it got into the flow of the game, and now your first 20 plays or whatever are not scripted anymore, and you just have to have a feel for the game and what plays to call, whatever, all goes into the shitter. Because this asshole has no clue what he's doing. I'm convinced of it at this point. Right? I was already pretty much there, and I am not a big fire guys throughout in the middle of the season. You're not going to break my heart if you throw his ass right out the door right now. You won't. I am, like I said, I'm not usually an advocate of that because I think it shakes up too much. You are 8-3 still, all of that shit. But dude, there is no excuses for this shit. And I'll go a step further, along with your point about only 10 rushing attempts for Saquon. And like I said, we only carried it 18 times overall. Dude, the recipe for success for us is not 39 drop back passes by Jalen Hurts. He is not Matt Stafford. He is not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. That's not who he is. They are not putting this kid in a position to succeed anymore. They're not. They haven't been doing it all year. They want him to be a drop back passer in this particular offensive style. It doesn't work. It didn't work in 2023. Why the hell does anybody think it's going to work now? There's no RPOs. There's no fucking motion. There's no creativity to the blocking schemes in the run game. And I get it. You've been banged up. Lane Johnson's out. Dickerson's missed time. Juergens is banged up here and there. I get it. But the offensive line is well coached. If you don't scheme right, I don't care who you have on the offensive line. They're going to get run over, especially when you basically tell the defense, I am never going to throw the ball over the middle of the field on a crossing route. I'm never going to do it, right? Unless I can find a sit-down spot in a zone, I'm not throwing it over the middle of the field. So what are you going to do as a defense? Well, we're not that talented, but you're basically telling me from the in between the numbers, you're not coming here. So great. All I've got to do is defend from the numbers out, maybe from the hatches out, and play aggressive up front. And if I play aggressive enough up front, it's good enough because you have no creativity in a fucking run game either. It's a full-on – that offense is a disaster, and it's disgusting. The amount of money that's being spent on that offense and all of that talent.
Yes.
Look at that catch that Devontae Smith made. You're trying to tell me this kid's not one of the best wide receivers in football? The only thing he
I've been saying it for weeks. Yeah, I've been saying it for weeks. So 2 quick things that you kind of hit on that really kind of, made me think a little bit. So for anybody who's been watching, the show for a couple of weeks has known that I have been a very big proponent of the fact that this offense seems to, or my diagnosis of the offense is that we play to the level of our opponents. And I will say that until proven otherwise. Today, I will say that I was proven otherwise because in the same game, we saw 2 different teams. We saw one team that went down the field 3 times and scored. We saw a team that blanked the Cowboys 21-0, and it could have been 28-0 because we had the ball back up 21. And then that same exact game, we saw an offense that was totally inept and impotent and no creativity, no explosiveness. It really, as the game was developing, I turned to my dad and I said, this has such strong 2023 vibes. This echoes 2023, where we're humming and we're rolling, we look unstoppable, and then all of a sudden, poof, it all goes away. And it's almost like you just completely forget how to ride a bicycle. You go from it something being so automatic to all of a sudden it looks like you've never played the sport before. And remembering what 2023 was like, it was like watching, it was a slow, painful death. And the worst part is that, I mean, we were still in playoff contention until like almost the very end of 2023, but we all knew we didn't deserve it because I think we were up 10 or 9 wins up to that point, and then we barely won a winning record that year. And the way that we played against the Cowboys shouts that. I mean, the comparisons of 2023 to what we just saw is eerie. It makes me uncomfortable. And considering that this is the same organization, Sirianni's still here, Howie's still here, Hurts is still, everyone is still here. I hope that they recognize that and say, you know what, guys? You know, for the past couple of weeks, we've been winning off of sheer talent alone. Our defense has been bailing us out. And this is the one time that they didn't hold a team to 7 or 9 points. God forbid.
That's exactly right with it. He's asking too much of this defense. So what's the similarities between 23 and this year? And I asked that kind of tongue-in-cheek because it's obvious. It's a Nick Sirianni guy promoted to offensive coordinator. That's the similarity. Right? You had Brian Johnson in 23, and this year you have Kevin Patullo. I still believe, and I'm sure if Captain Dempsey did say before he was trying to listen, but he is stuck in traffic. Imagine that in the DC area. He is on this as well. It feels like a Nick Sirianni offense, and we've all seen how that goes. First half of 2021 was Nick calling plays, and it looked a lot like this. 2023, Brian Johnson's the offensive coordinator. What do we find out later in the year? Nick's been calling the plays. Kevin Patullo's now the offensive coordinator. Who's calling the fucking plays here? And does it matter this year because Patullo has literally been under Nick the entire time Nick has been the head coach in Philly? Are they linked, those two? Do they have the same philosophy? And is that part of the problem? I feel like it is. And I've been on that for a while now. It just doesn't look right. They're not doing anything to put Jalen in position to succeed. The best thing you can do for him, obviously running the ball and doing it well, but that RPO offense. Where the fuck is my RPO offense? It just doesn't exist anymore. Right? They take it away. Last year, Kellen Moore, a lot of motion in the offense. Right? Yep. What do you do when you put motion in the offense? You tip the defense. Are they playing zone? Are they playing man? You confuse them a little bit. Oh, shit, what's actually happening here? And then you get some nice creative blocking schemes for the rushing attack. Opens it up, and now Jalen can take his shots. It softens up the middle enough to where Jalen can hit somebody on a crossing route. We all know Jalen doesn't trust his arm with all that traffic in the middle of the field. He's always been that way. He was like that at Bama and Oklahoma, too. He just doesn't trust what he's seeing there to zip that ball in there because he knows he doesn't possess the arm strength. He doesn't have the arm of Dak Prescott. He just doesn't. But when he does well, they're not taking advantage of. He signed this quarterback to this huge contract for what? You didn't sign him to a huge contract based on what you want to pigeonhole him into. You signed him to that huge deal based on what he does well. Now you've taken all of that away from him. And it's obvious. Dude, unless we get into an absolute shootout, 39 passing attempts is not recipe for success for this team. It's just not. You have to flip that around. 39 passes and 18 rushing attempts, this is not recipe for success. The 18 to 25 pass attempts had 40 rushing attempts. That's how we win football games. And some of those by Hurts off of RPO offense. That this Sirianni Patullo shit just doesn't exist. Keenan Harmon, Eagles fly to the cry, Eagles cry in the second half. We were running Cowboy fans out of our section in the first quarter. He says Quinnen Williams was in our backfield the entire second half. I mean, the stat line doesn't show it, but you could see it. We were getting a bit. I guess the other problem I have is even once it got to halftime, where you've got your chance, okay, let's take a breath. We didn't close the half well. We started out well. We didn't close it well. We're still up 14. You know, what adjusted? Nothing adjusted, right? The offense just said, well, these things work well, so let's just try to get back to that. No, dude, that's a good defensive coordinator on the other side of the field, right? You're going to have to change things up. They didn't do it. They just came out and kept it, like you said, first possession right out of the half. Pass. It was 4.
Because it was a penalty.
There's a penalty, right? It gets nullified. And then there was another possession in the second half where Barkley gets 5 on first down, and you immediately drop back and throw two times after that. Why? You have 5 yards on first down. Fucking run the ball again. If they stop it, they stop it. Then you have to throw. I get it, but like, what are you thinking? The coaching on the offensive side of the ball is very much to be desired.
Here's the thing, though. I don't even think it has to be as starkly complicated as going from a passes to run plays. If you merely fake a handoff to Saquon Barkley, that does something to a defense. It doesn't matter how real or how good the fake is. If you just fake it to a guy who almost won the MVP last year, they have to respect it at some level. And that affects the coverage. That affects how quickly the linebackers can drop to their zones. It affects how the corners have to maybe do a double take into the backfield, and which might give Brown, Smith, and Goddard and Dawson a little bit more time to get open. It's the little things that you can do on scheduled pass plays that allow the offense to get that extra advantage as they think, oh my God, okay, there's a split second chance that they could actually hand it off to Barkley here. Okay, it's not Barkley, but you know what? I'm already a step behind now because I'm watching Barkley and I'm not watching my receiver. But they don't do that. They don't do play actions. They don't do motions, as you said. There's nothing that helps Jalen diagnose the defense. There's nothing that helps the receivers expose the defense pre-snap. There's nothing giving a tell to the offense pre-snap. It is literally, we are going to line up, we are going to get set, and we are going to go nose to nose because we know that AJ Brown is better than your corner and Devontae Smith is better than your corner. And you know what? We're going to go 5 wide 4 straight times because we just know that our offense is just better than your defense, and we're going to do it like that. Well, the
route concepts are shit. AJ runs that 5-yard little in thing on a you can see it coming. They know, everyone knows how to take it away. At this point, the play action, you got to run it on first down. If you watch these games, we will hand that ball off to Barkley or Bigsby pretty much every single first down, unless they just come out and they're just like, we're just going to throw it the entire possession, like they did coming out of the half, right? But it's almost like, look, and we can talk this over and over again, but the bottom line is, if you can sit there and see it, and I can sit here and see it, and I've got 180 fucking Eagle fans at a bar out here in Westchester, Ohio, and they can all see it. What do you think Matt Eberflus is doing? Like, if we, as just, schmucks like us, fans, can sit here and see this, what do you think opposing defensive coordinators are doing? They're licking their chops. And it shouldn't be that way. They should be petrified of playing against this offense.
Yeah.
Like they were last year, like they were in 22, where there was no answer. And the personnel is the same. The difference is the coaching. And so it's obvious. So like I said before, I'm not a big let's fire a guy halfway through the year. But, dude, like, I don't know. something has to change. You remember last week, I'm like, if we are going to figure it out, this is the week. This defense stinks. I understand Quentin Williams and Logan Wilson are upgrades. They had nowhere to go but up. Second to last in the league in points allowed. Their overall yardage allowed, overall rushing, passing defense terrible. They were -4 on the turnover differential coming into it. If we were going to figure it out, this was the week. And through those first 3 possessions, I'm like, okay, here we go. And just, I would have rather not scored on the first 3 possessions. I would have rather it been a seesaw battle than what we had to endure watching the final 3.5 quarters of that football game. That was fucking brutal.
I could not have said it better myself. This is a painful continuation of what we've kind of seen the whole season, really. You see flashes. I mean, what you said about rather not scoring in the first 3 possessions is, I think that's kind of poignant, which is stop me if I sound like a broken record here, but it's very reminiscent of 2023. I'd rather you not give me the hope and then wither away and die. I would rather you just show me like, okay, so this is what it's going to be. Fine, whatever. Rather than looking like a prolific offense that finally found its stride, scoring touchdowns at will, almost having a chance of scoring 4, and then completely vanishing in the second half, even to the end of the third quarter.
To get to a point where you literally only needed 1 more touchdown, and you had 3.5 quarters to get it, and you couldn't do it. Look, this isn't baseball where, a guy goes 2 for 5, he strikes out to end the ball game with runners on, but it's 2 hits previous in the game were homers, so you're like, I can't really blame him. No, this is football, dude. Yeah, great. You scored on your first 3 possessions. Got it. But then you flatlined for, what is that, 30, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Almost 43 minutes of a football game? You can't. It's not that these 2 things are not the same. You needed 1 touchdown in your final 8 possessions of the ball game. 1 touchdown, right? Because to your point, to start the show, okay, Jakey missed a field goal, so did Aubrey. All right, so that's a wash. Can't do that, right? You want to give them both makes, give them both, whatever. It's a wash. You needed 1 touchdown to win that football game in your final 3.5 quarters and 8 possessions, and you couldn't do it. And I 1,000. Now, look, yes, players have to execute. I understand. But the coaching staff's responsibility is to put them in position to succeed and execute. And this coaching staff is not doing it. And that's where the blame, for me, that's where the blame goes. Tulo and Sirianni. I consider them linked at this point.
This offense needs to, it feels like the offense tries to have like a manual transmission where it tries to guess when it needs to shift the gears in the middle of the game to, okay, aggressive. Okay, let's play a little bit more defensively. Okay, we need to put a little more pressure on. Let's play a little more offensively. It's like, just play automatic. Okay.
Just put your foot on the gas and go.
You go up 3 possessions. Okay, now it's time to safeguard that. Yeah, you can still score, but let's keep the ball. Let's not just go 3 and out. Let's not just get 20 yards on a possession and punt it back with taking 3 minutes off the clock. No, you need to commit to the run game. If you even have to eat a few downs where Barkley only gets a yard or 2, that's fine, because you have to keep the defense honest. Because if you're then sprinkling in play action passes, if you're also sprinkling in motions, you're giving the offense advantages. You're giving the offense tips. We don't see that ever. It almost feels like watching a play action pass is like a trick play at this point, where we had to get.
The issue is we're so predictable that these guys are playing so aggressive against us. That now, if you play action pass, let's be honest, play action pass takes a little bit longer to develop, right? You got to turn, you got to fake, then you do your drop or your bootleg or whatever.
Yep.
They're so aggressive against us because there's portions of the field that they know they just don't have to worry about. that everything's getting blown up. The backfield is getting exploded because they can just pin their ears back. They know what's coming. It's far too predictable. You need motion. You need play action. You need more creativity. They're doing none of it. None of it at all. And it's nauseating. And that's what happened on Sunday. It's what's been happening most of the year. We've been getting away with it 100% because of the talent on that offense. But eventually,
and defense,
like in 2023, and defense, but eventually, just like in 2023, you get figured out too much, and nobody can help you. Right? Talent is not going to carry you over.
Yeah, you're running out of runway to make adjustments, mid-season adjustments to kind of. You're not supposed to replace your engine in the middle of the season. You're supposed to just do oil changes. You're supposed to maybe rotate tires. You're supposed to do the menial shit.
Tweaks.
You're supposed to do small tweaks. You're not supposed to replace all the tires, replace the transmission, replace the engine, replace the You're not supposed to make major changes in the middle of the year to stay competitive. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Which is why I've not been an advocate of changing coaching halfway through the year, because that is an engine replacement, right? You're at minimum, you're changing the transmission when you change a coach. And that's why I've never been a proponent of it. But at this point, dude, Christ, this is brutal to watch.
Well, I did see that we are consulting Daboll a little bit in terms of some like key points.
I would just bring him on full on.
Yeah,
bring him on full in, dude. I don't know. He got Josh Allen straightened out. Daboll's got some. It was a long time ago, but he's got experience with Jalen Hurts, right? And mobile quarterbacks seem to be his thing. So I don't see the harm in it, but it's got to be. I don't think we can be wishy-washy. Like 2023, Nick did the wishy-washy thing. And to his credit, I think he was trying to defend his guys. So he was taking some blame, right? Brian Johnson's the OC. He's creating the game plan, but I'm calling the plays, right?
Sure.
Then when it got to the defensive side, they bring in what's his nuts to consult, and then he ends up calling. I mean, that whole thing was a wreck. But I don't think you can be wishy-washy here. I think you've got to just commit, right? If you're gonna get Daboll in there, if that's actually going to be a thing, then just bring him in, right?
Yeah.
And maybe he shares the duties with Patullo, but it can't be 1 week Patullo's calling plays, next week Daboll's calling plays, or when things are going bad, Daboll called the play. No, there's none of that. It's this hard line. This is the change. This is what's going on. Look, when Howie and Jeff have hired the coordinators, which we all know that happened last year. Those weren't Nick hires. Kellen Moore was brought in.
Yeah.
They might paint the picture that Nick had something to do with it. He didn't. We know that. 23 was such an end of the year disaster. They weren't going to let him make those decisions. So what'd you do? You brought in Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator, who was already a head coaching candidate. And you brought in Vic Fangio as your defensive coordinator, who has been a head coach before and is the adult in the room. So what did that tell Nick Sirianni? Hey, fucko, we get another season that ends up like that, you're out, right? Too much talent here. We're going to bring these dudes in. And it worked. I full on believe that Nick was told stay the hell out of the offense last year. It's Kellen's offense. Stay out. Get the fuck out of it. Manage the team, which I'm fine with Nick doing that. I, again, still don't understand why we have to have a bodyguard for our head coach, but I mean, it's funny and all, but it's like, dude, really. And it seems to work out better when Nick doesn't make the decisions on who the coordinators are. That's just the way it looks.
I mean, this is the first time I've said this. Nick Sirianni is not an offensive mind, and that's okay.
That was his side of the ball. That's where he came from, was the offense, not the defense. So they brought him in because he was supposed to be a young offensive mind. That's what everybody's after, right? They want that young offensive mind. Ever since McVay took over the Rams and Shanahan took over the Niners, everybody wants that young offensive mind. So that's where you get LaFleur and what's his name in Minnesota. Not everybody works out though, dude.
No. And that's what I'm saying. Nick Sirianni is not writing books on offensive philosophy that's flying off the shelves, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But what he is, he's a relatable personality who can attract guys in a locker room. He can rally guys together. He can get everyone on the same page. I still remember his first press conferences as head coach, and he sounded like a high school who's never gave a PowerPoint presentation before. Oh yeah. We have plans in place that are going to be easy for our players to understand, but not so easy for the defenses to also understand. They're going to bloom. They're going to blossom.
I remember coming away from that press conference like, who the fuck did we just hire? Who the hell is this guy, right? But overall, it's worked. I'm not going to turn this into a Sirianni bash fest. Overall, it's worked.
No, it's listen.
Hiring his own coordinators has not worked out.
Facing reality shouldn't be seen as bashing. And if it is seen as bashing, that maybe that is just reality. The reality is that Nick Sirianni is not Kellen Moore. He's not Sean McVay. He's not Matt LaFleur. He's not any of these
Shane Steichen.
He's not writing books on offenses that are flying off the shelves. Okay, he is a player's coach. He's a locker room guy. He is a rallier. He is, all right, guys, let's get all on the same page here and let's be united as a team.
Yeah, he's a rah-rah
And it's guy. Fangio. It's Fangio who runs the defense. And it's obviously, we hope it's not Sirianni that's running the offense right now. But at this point, if it is Patullo running the offense, I just get the keys back to Sirianni. It literally cannot get worse than this, but it may very well may be Sirianni.
I think they're linked, buddy. I think the two of them are together with this. I do.
I think the answer going forward. I think the answer is going forward. I don't know if it's going to be Dable. I really don't, but it's got to be someone that has to be an offensive consultant because something has to change, and it just seems like everybody who is on the offensive side of the ball is too stubborn to either A, recognize it, or B, if they do, even just change it.
Right. They don't want to admit the failure. No. They don't. And so, that when you get to that level of coaching, that's why some of these guys go and they go and they take these jobs. And I'm not saying like the Philadelphia's a great job, but you see some guys take these shit jobs because they literally feel like they can fix anything, right? Because it's just it's an ego thing at that point, which I get. I want my head coach to be confident. I do. But there's a time for confidence, and there's a fine line between confidence and stupidity.
That's right.
And arrogance. And at some point you got to admit, I need some fucking help here. Go to Howie. Howie, I need fat ass from New York. Get that little roly-poly prick over here and let him help us. Because this ain't working. No. Now, that's all the negative. So we got 10 minutes for positives here. Positives. We're still 8-3. We still have a 3-game lead in the division, albeit we are only 2 up and 2 down in the division now. We've also got head-to-head wins over Green Bay, Detroit, Tampa, and the Rams. We do not control destiny against the Seahawks because we don't play them head-to-head this year. All of that said leads me to Friday. We have to play the first place 8-3 Chicago Bears.
Yep.
Now, last week when we were talking, I looked at the Dallas game and the Chicago game. If you win those 2 games, you're in the freaking driver's seat, right? You literally control your own destiny without question.
Mm-hmm.
Now we drop the game to Dallas. So now we don't because, yes, we've got the head-to-head victory over the Rams, but they're a game ahead of us now. And first things first, you got to take care of the division. So looking at the schedule to start the year, I looked at this Chicago game and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me with Caleb Williams going to come in here and paint his fingernails and beat us in Philly? Now I'm not quite sure what to expect. Listen, I will go on record. These guys in the room all know it. That when it does come to talent, and we are that much more talented than the Bears, and I do believe we are, I expect to win football games. I expect to win that game on Friday. But you can't go doing what we did against Dallas. You can't come out and light the world on fire for 12 minutes
No.
and then fall flat for the other 48. It doesn't work that way. I don't care who you're against, whether it's Dak Prescott. And here's one final thing on the Dallas thing. Dallas literally has their back against the wall. They have to win out, pretty much, to have a shot. They're also very good at home. And as much as it makes all of us sick, Dak Prescott has crushed the NFC East in his career. He just has. He has literally owned all three of us in his career, whether at home or out, just against the division overall. So a back and forth battle on Sunday with a loss would have still sucked, but it had been like, all right, you know what? It's in Dallas. Their backs are against the wall. I got it. Sucks, whatever. Collapsing like that is a much different look. So now here comes Chicago on Black Friday, and here we are on short rest, albeit at home, but yikes, dude. If God forbid you drop this one, now you're in big. Now you're, and you drop this one, and Dallas manages to beat Kansas City tomorrow. Things start to look a lot different.
Yeah. This is something that can get very ugly very quickly. We have the Bears, of course, this Friday, and then next week we have the Chargers. They're 7-4. They're no one to sleaze on.
And we've got to fly across the country to go play that game.
We have the Raiders, which should be a tune-up game. I hope that's not a game where we have to reinvent ourselves, refine ourselves, remind ourselves of who we are. No. We have Washington after that, and then we have the last big test of the season, which is going into Buffalo in the heat of December.
Right, okay. December 28th in Buffalo.
Exactly. Where at that point, Josh Allen's a perfect commodity. These Bills are going to be, assuming that they are still,
they're going to need the game.
Yesteryear, they're going to be humming. They're probably going to need that game for seeding. And so, it's home in Buffalo, late December, possible playoff implications. So right now we have 6 games left, and yes, we have 6 games left. Half of them are going to be tough. And
two of the other 3 are against division opponent.
That's exactly correct. So at that point, with the vibes of 2023 that I'm getting, man, this season quickly went from one like, okay, well, we have time, we can figure it out. Okay, it's just one game. Next game it'll happen. Okay, it didn't happen that game, but next game it'll definitely happen. We're running out of games to figure this out.
I think
we have 6. We're 6 games left. I don't think we're up to speed, and we need to either turn around and just give up, or we need to eventually try to lift off the ground. Something needs to change. I don't think the team has the capacity to do it. I don't think they have. I think they're too stubborn. I think they're too prideful, and I think that's what might end up destroying this team. We see the Chiefs. They fell flat in their face so far, coming from the Super Bowl losers. I would almost rather be the Chiefs right now than the Philadelphia Eagles, where you go into a season and you toy with greatness, you toy with repeating, you toy with being the 2024 Eagles, and you're nothing more than a slightly better version of the 2023 Eagles. That's a fate far worse than death.
I'm with you there. And if you just look at the NFC overall, things are bunching up, dude. You get the Rams at the top. If the season ended right now, the Rams would be the 1 seed. We would be the 2. But lose that game to Chicago, and now Chicago's the 2. And we fall into the 3, where you're also bunched up with Green Bay, Detroit. Don't forget about Seattle. If, God forbid, the season does come off the rails a bit like 23 did, and Dallas manages to catch it. Keep in mind, 2023, it was Dallas that caught us that year too. Remember that? We fell apart, they got hot, and we ended up the wild card going to Tampa.
Yep.
And got our doors blown in, right? I mean, you just look at it. We're 8-3. Chicago's 8-3. Green Bay 7-3-1. Detroit is 7-4. The Rams are 9-2. Seattle is 8-3. San Francisco, with the second easiest schedule in the league coming into it this year, despite all their injuries, is 8-4. They're not going away. And then you got Tampa, who's 6. I mean, the NFC South is, somebody's got to be the tallest midget, I guess, again with that division. So, it should be Tampa, although Carolina's nipping at their heels, which is really ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I mean, dude, so this time last week, we're looking at the next 2 games being at Dallas, home for Chicago, where win those 2. And you are 100%, even with as hot as the Rams are, you are 100% well in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Take that top seed. And at that point, had we beaten Dallas and beat Chicago, and then Dallas, say, loses to Kansas City tomorrow,
done.
So if we had beaten Dallas, and Dallas would have lost to Kansas City tomorrow, that Black Friday game becomes Clinchmas. Is what that would have been. Now, things are very much different. It can still happen. I'm going to still hold out faith and say it will happen. I still think there's too much talent here. I think they will figure out something to get us there. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be 23 again, although it does fucking feel that way. It starts on Friday, right? You got 6 games left. You got to close. And you can't lose the NFC matchup, right? I looked at this 3-game stretch. Dallas, at Dallas is never going to be fun, right? It's always going to be a little tougher than you want it to be. Home for Chicago. Chicago's better than I think a lot of people thought they were going to be. Then you have to go to LA to play the Chargers. That wouldn't be easy either. I'm looking at dude, just beat Dallas, beat Chicago. You want to go lose to the Chargers? I can handle that. Not that I want you to, but I can handle it. Now I don't know, man. Now it feels like this game on Friday, it feels a little bit more like I gotta have it.
Yeah, I'm feeling a 20-10. Not a star-studded game. It's gonna be an ugly game, but I think that it's a game that we have to win by more than 1 possession just to be real again. Just to be real again. The defense has to kind of feel itself again. So I'm looking at a 20-10 game. I think we get 4 sacks. I think we get a turnover 2.
Yeah, I think Caleb's right. I think Caleb is right for the picking, dude. I think he's another one where, when Brian Johnson or when what's his name? Johnson has them on script, they look really, really strong. But again, once you get into the flow of the game and Caleb has to make these decisions, it's not just, this is where I'm going. I have to actually do things. It's not just all designed for me. I think he struggles. And I got to believe that Fangio will have these boys pretty well fired up. And I gotta think our defensive players are going to be pretty fired up after, the offense didn't do anything for them, but they did hemorrhage the latter half of that game, right? They got pushed around. No defense ever likes to get pushed around.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I like the 2010, maybe 2014. Nothing crazy, nothing spectacular. I don't see it being a big, prowess type of thing, even though I would love a statement game.
Sure.
2010, 2013, 2014, something like that. Please don't make it like 2017 where I've got to have a heart attack for a fucking, you know what I mean? I'm trying to find, what is your weather like on Friday there? 40 and 42 and sunny.
42 is sunny. It's going to be a cold day, but.
Yeah, 42 and sunny.
Let's see. 42 is sunny.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of a breeze.
It's windy, but you're gonna have wind, which 15 to 25 miles an hour, higher gusts possible. That doesn't play well for Jalen. But at least it's not a swamp. So
no,
I know you got to run, brother. So go ahead and get running. You guys, Thanksgiving wise, what's on the menu besides turkey?
We've got to get the mac and cheese, of course. We got the stuffing. You're gonna get the cranberry sauce. You're gonna get the mashed potatoes. I don't know if we're having sweet potatoes or not, but I think we're gonna have a little bit of maybe we might have some side of ham, perhaps. But yeah, just the good old fashioned staples.
This is staples. That's pretty much what we do here. Like I grew up.
Yeah.
My parents divorced when I was very young, so every other year I would be either at my mother's or my father's.
Okay.
And my father's is mostly Irish and European shit like that. So it was just your staples: turkey, mashed potatoes, sometimes a ham, corn, shit like that. And you go to my mother's, where it was all Italians. So there's like 150 fucking people. There's trays of lasagna. There's 1 20-pound bird for 150 paisans sitting around. Everybody's eating lasagna, smashing sides, all of it. There's sides forever. But yeah, so very big contrast. We do it pretty simple here. 14-pound turkey. I'll make 5 pounds of mashed potatoes. Corn green bean casserole.
Yep.
Cornbread. Nothing too crazy. I'm not big on cranberry sauce, so but yeah, and a pumpkin pie and a berry pie or something like that. Just simple stuff. That's pretty much what it'll be here. I'll be up cooking at fucking 7:00 in the morning tomorrow, getting all that shit rolling, and then getting ready for Friday. Another pretty decent turnout, and that's going to be a mess because everyone who's going to turn out to watch the game on Friday is going to have a free run at getting hammered all afternoon with no work. No work the day before, no work the day after. Afternoon game.
Yep.
Everybody smashed, myself included.
Yep.
So, all right, kid. Well, you have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too as well.
Wish wish your family a happy Thanksgiving from all of us here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we're coming back again next week and talking about things a little bit better. Hopefully we can spend more than 10 minutes on positives rather than 50 minutes on negatives, right? That would be
that'd be the dream. That'd be the dream indeed. Have a good Thanksgiving.
That would be the dream. Yeah, you too, man.
Have a good Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, everybody. Yep.
Everybody in the room. Come on back again next week. Again, I hope we're more positive than negative next week. Guys, if you're getting into Stranger Things, the first 4 episodes get released tonight. We will start watching that tonight. It's released Eastern time zone at 8:00, so my daughter's already chomping at the bit. Come on back again next week, and we hope you all have a very happy Thanksgiving. If you're venturing out tonight, it's the biggest drinking holiday, day of the year, the night before Thanksgiving. Please, Uber, Lyft, designated driver. Don't fuck around, okay? There's a real chance that you ain't back until Monday. So enjoy yourselves. Gorge all the food. Yes, we have to root for Kansas City tomorrow, so take an extra shower before you go to bed. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Again, the judge may not be back until next Monday. And as always, kids, happy Thanksgiving and go Birds.
Go Birds.